Yeah.
Why
does it sound different?
I've modified it, so now I can do goofy noises with it.
As opposed to what before?
It sounds like a rubber chicken.
It actually is kind of the same thing that's in a rubber chicken. So it's from a grown tube. It's still the same thing, but it got really warm one day, so it is shaped differently. I didn't modify it intentionally, but now it does more things. Unintentional upgrade.
How hot is it in Thailand?
Not as hot as it is most places, really. I mean, maybe like 90 degrees most days. For like 2 hours in the afternoon, and
you just like leave it in the sun.
Pretty much, yeah. It's much more crisp too.
And there's a turtle humping a shoe.
No, we all had to have, right? That's normal, completely normal.
You're completely normal.
Hey, take that back right the fuck now.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you're tuning in from across the country and around the world. This, folks, this right here is the Life Midwest podcast. Join a washed-up musician, a communications major, and an Army veteran originally from the Midwest as we talk about life and events that are both current and events. Welcome to episode 71, if I didn't already say that already, and if I did, you get 2 welcomes today, so you're welcome. Is that a third? I don't know. Let's stop counting. Here to carry out the show with me, I got your host, Kevin Palmer. I got our Thai correspondent, Wes Shirley, over there. And hopefully not as depressed of a sound, and Seattle's best, but I don't mean the coffee, Lenny Wells.
What can I say except you're welcome?
For the heels, the boost, the res.
Oh my, y'all been
How are you doing,
watching
boys?
some karaoke.
Karapi.
Karapi?
We good.
Yeah, I think it's Karapi.
Like crappy?
I think it's karaoke.
I think I've been watching his videos first, so
I may have watched more videos than you at this point, though. My life has been that game that we haven't mentioned yet.
You may have consumed more content, yes. Yeah. Follow-up, call back to the episode with my friend Michael, where I made a joke about Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis. I got my boys Lenny and Wes playing with me now, so get in on the free-to-play action if you haven't already, and if you have 110 gigabytes free on your hard drive.
Yeah, dude, what the fuck is that?
So there's a base
Like,
there's a base game that's basically dead that New Genesis doesn't exist, like can't exist on its own. Like it doesn't have an install that exists on its own without the base game.
Super necessary.
I'm pretty sure it does, because when I looked at Discord, it was like, or not Discord, when I looked at fucking Steam, it was like, I typed in PSO, and the first thing that came up was New Genesis. So it should have its own goddamn thing.
Yeah,
Like,
but
what the
it's,
fuck?
you know, thanks Sega, it doesn't. So instead of talking about a company who's been dead in the console water since 1999, we're going to be talking about a presidential campaign that's dead in the water before it even started. Join us today as we talk about the, well, Wes, what are we talking about today?
Much. No, I think we're going to be talking about something similar. That is Donald Trump, ex-president, former president, however you want to use that term. He seems like he might be in some deep water, huh?
Deeper water than when he golfs.
I don't play golf, but it's probably funny.
But yeah, he's in some hot shit, isn't he?
Quite a lot. So someone give the audience the lowdown here.
Round about like what happened is that when Biden took office and Trump left, he left the government and took like hella bunch of like classified material. Now, regardless of like what that designation means, like it could be, as of right now, we know that he's got top secret, classified, confidential. He's got all manner of like different, or had, I guess, all manner of different documents, some relating to national security, some potentially to nuclear weapons. And basically the National Archives was trying to get those documents from him under the Presidential Records Act, which he wasn't even supposed to have taken them in the first place. So he was eventually served with a subpoena. The FBI most recently raided his Mar-a-Lago residence compound, whatever you want to call it, and seized the documents that he had stored there on site. And yeah, that's what happened.
And did they find anything when they did that?
Oh, well, yeah, they found everything I just told you about. That's how we know about it.
And we come full circle.
Yeah. So, but what's really interesting is that the documents that were seized, this isn't like the first set of documents that have been retrieved from Mar-a-Lago. In fact, the National Records and Trump's lawyers have been working in tandem up until like very recently. Actually, I think it was back in like April or May. They requested that he turn over like all the documents that he had. They gave him like 5 or 10 boxes of documents. But then they knew that wasn't everything. And there had been some back and forth between Trump's legal team and the DOJ and, like I said, the National Archives. And so that's what happened. That's why the subpoena was served, was because like they knew they weren't getting everything turned over to them.
Yeah, the legal team is probably sweating its balls right now. Speaking of sweating, is Giuliani still a part of his legal team?
I don't think so currently.
Okay. Yeah, he's in his own hot show. That's probably that's a completely different topic.
Well, I don't mean to like, just keep rambling here, but there's been like so many like interesting developments that have happened like since like the initial quote unquote raid. It wasn't even a fucking raid. They knew, everybody there at Mar-a-Lago knew the FBI was coming. So it wasn't like exactly a surprise. But one of the interesting things that have happened is that Trump's legal team has tried to say that a lot of those documents contain attorney-client privilege. So that means like they're supposed to be, in theory, between just him and his legal team. So nobody else could seize those. But one, we know that that's not true. Or at least anything that is there that's attorney-client privilege is currently being like gone through by the DOJ. They have a special group on site to wherever the documents were taken and are going through them to like separate out like what's national security, like what isn't, right? But when they filed that motion, they filed it in the wrong fucking court. You've got that. There's been a number of like strange coincidences. For example, I think back in 2020 or 2021, there was a CIA document that was leaked that basically had and I'll try to find the source for this, but basically like a bunch of like undercover assets, information was leaked to the international community, like someone else's foreign intelligence. I think it was the Saudis. And in like March or April of last year, in October, I think it was, there was a report that was put together by the CIA that talks about how an inordinate number of undercover operatives have like been taken out. Basically, the Saudi prince, Mohammed Bonesaw, he like gave Trump like $4 million recently. Um, and he's claiming that it's because he's got nuclear secrets from Trump.
I think it was 4 billion.
It's just a real fucking shit show. 4 billion, 4 million. I just woke up like 20 minutes ago.
I think he invested 4 billion into Jared Kushner's like private equity firm, which makes it, I guess, seem less like he's giving a direct payment to Trump for nuclear secrets.
Yeah, it's kind of like Newman's Own. Are you guys familiar with that company or that brand?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where they say like 100% of the profits go to charities, but like all the charities are like his own.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of feels like one of those things where it's just like it's like an indirect like payment, like you're saying. So
yeah, the thing, and like we can go more into like what's been happening, but the thing that like I've been talking with Brittany about this, like the thing to me that is like the craziest is that I feel like this isn't gonna matter because
no, they'll still find a way to make it not matter.
Well, even if it like, unless like criminal charges are like brought and like he's convicted, it like especially like, and that has to happen like before the election, because if it doesn't, his base is going to find any reason they can to just not believe it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's plenty of people that are already like doing that. So if it gets to that point where like the investigation's like still ongoing, like before the election actually happens, and then like he's elected, like God forbid he's elected a second time, they're not going to do anything, because standing precedent is that they're not going to indict a sitting president.
And so the justice system needs to move swiftly here, essentially.
Yeah.
Wes, any thoughts on that?
I also am a bit skeptical, or I guess cynical rather, just based on how everything's gone, that this won't matter, pretty much just as Lenny stated, but not because we'll get to the election and he will then be immune from all of it, but because there'll just be a way for him to weasel out of it. Like recently, him suing the Department of Justice. I mean, it doesn't seem like that's going in his favor, but it's just another thing he's trying to do to throw a wrench into the investigation. And I don't know how true this is. I read in a couple different locations that he like put magazines and random other documents in between all of the documents, or he had his goonies or whoever do it to obstruct as much as possible of the investigation. And I'm just afraid that he's going to get away with it. That is assuming it is something he's done. I mean, obviously this is all speculative. I've never been to Mar-a-Lago. I don't know what fucking documents he had, but like assuming he actually had them, I'm afraid he's just going to get away with it. He has access to unlimited funds, basically. He's gotten away with everything else thus far. He's a pretty good grifter. I'm just concerned nothing is going to matter in that way. He's going to get away with it. And it's going to end up where he does end up in the presidency in 2024. I do have hope, though, because he put the person in charge of the FBI or the Department of Justice who led the investigation. So that's promising that it's a bit bipartisan, as opposed to just like the Democrats saying, all right, we need to find more junk on Trump, because that would just give them more narrative that, oh, it's just a witch hunt, which I don't think it is.
Yeah, no, I completely agree that I think that it sets a dangerous precedent, or it continues to set a dangerous precedent to where, you know, politicians can just throw money away, you know, throw money at a problem until it becomes a solution, and I think this is no exception here.
We do know a bit about like what Trump had, like what documents were on hand. There's a really great YouTube channel. It's maybe you guys have heard of it. It's called Legal Eagle, and what it is, it's a constitutional lawyer, and he just breaks down.
It.
Yeah, so he's done like over the past like 2 weeks, he's done like 3 pretty good videos about the documents that are known to have existed, the capacity in which they were stored, and then like he breaks down classified designations and as well as the laws that are potentially in play here. And I will link these to you.
Yeah, link those to me real quick.
So that way we can include them. But I would 100% ask that or at least recommend that our listeners go through and watch these, because you get a lot of really good information. And while he's certainly like not unbiased, it's just like a really good, I wouldn't call it a primary source because he's not involved in the proceedings, but he does know like what he's talking about. So
I wouldn't be surprised if most people have heard of and or watched some Legal Eagle videos. Like, I've seen the videos you're talking about, and not because I searched for them. Like, he's got some really good search engine optimization going on.
anyways, this whole thing has just been fucking insane.
What's not insane is us taking a break.
Oh shit.
We'll be right back.
Sounds fucking crazy to me.
Now that Wes has sent me a YouTube link to 26 seconds of my life that I'll never get back, welcome back to the Life Midwest podcast. On the other side of the break, it's your host, Kevin Palmer, Lenny Wells, and Wes Shirley. Hey, if you're looking for ways to support us and getting me the hell out of here from YouTube hell, you can send us donations to paypal.me/thelifemidwest. There's also free ways to support us, including reaching out to any of our socials at The Life Midwest on all major social platforms, including TikTok now. We also have a website at thelifemidwest.com. You can also email us at support@thelifemidwest.com. No new emails to read this week. We will always read them out on the air unless you don't want us to, if you were to hit us up. And finally, and the most helpful way you can reach out to us and support us is by leaving us a review. Yes, folks, leaving us a review on your favorite listening platform or a rating really helps drive up those ratings and gets us noticed and increases our listenership, which is what we're trying to do. So we greatly appreciate any and all support from y'all. Before we kick it back to the Mar-a-Lago incident and all the other fun things that Trump has been up to this past month, I do want to talk a little bit about... No, I'm just kidding. This is really all I want to talk about because it's so fucked. Lenny?
I think I've spoken ad nauseum on this. I don't really know what else to say at this point other than like, fuck.
Yeah. I mean, with somebody taking like classified information like that, like what's the goal? Like, is he just trying to like sell it off to? I think that's the question that our listeners might ask. Like, what's the goal in having this information, or like keeping it, or taking it from where you're not supposed to take things?
So I can't. That's really hard to say, honestly, because like I don't understand like half the shit that goes through his mind, anyways. But that being said, so first and foremost, like what he's doing is 100% illegal. And I know that like part of the argument, especially Trump's direct argument, has been that like he had a standing order to like declassify anything that was removed from the White House. But that's not how that works by law. Just because he said something's declassified doesn't mean it is. There's like and Legal Eagle talks about this a little bit more, but there's a process that has to happen for something to be considered like declassified. But just because something's declassified doesn't mean that it's not also still confidential. And pertaining to things that are related to like nuclear weapons or state secrets more generally, there's a very large and in-depth process that goes into making those documents public knowledge. And the president doesn't control all of those. Like nuclear in general has to go as is dictated by the Nuclear Regulatory Act, I believe. So it goes through the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. Those are the people that have the authority to declassify those. And so like, let's say like he took a folder that is just I don't know, just for argument's sake, it's a list of contact information, like emergency contacts for like general White House staff, but it's considered classified information because if you can hold advantage over like their emergency contacts, then maybe you hold advantage over them, right? Typical mob move, I guess. If that folder of information isn't in and of itself stamped as declassified with the date it was declassified by the declassifying authority, and there's like another piece of information there, and then each and every single one of the pages in that individual file folder are also not stamped with that same information, it still has to be treated as classified. It still has to be treated as confidential. And so maintaining, distributing, altering those documents carry legal repercussions. In my time in the military, if you so much as if we used a computer that was a classified computer. In the military, there's two designations. You have unclassified and it's called a NIPR, NIPR. It's an acronym for something. I don't know what it means, but basically it's for like general use. Like really anybody could use it. Then you have a SIPR network, which is for like things that are confidential, secret, classified, that sort of thing. If I was to like just put in a USB phone charger onto the secret computer, I could be punished under military law. So, and that's just charging like a cell phone. That's nothing to say about like storing documents on a thumb drive that hasn't been cleared or anything. Why he would do it, fuck, dude, I don't know, man. It could very well be that he meant to use that as like something for blackmail reasons. It could be to sell, which would equate to espionage. Who knows? Because I don't see any reason like why he would need to take, the things that he's been alleged of taking. There's just no reason for it, because one of his defenses has been that like, oh, well, it's information to go into my presidential library. Well, that doesn't matter. Presidential libraries are built based off of the National Archives and the Presidential Records Act. So that's all compiled by the National Archives and archivists. And then I believe what happens is they work in tandem with, whoever that former president is, to go over and talk about like things that can be or can't be in their national library. So again, I'm not a constitutional lawyer. I'm not Trump. I'm not in his like group. I'm just, Joe Blow. I can't fathom any reason why he would have needed to take those documents.
Wes, any final thoughts before we go to the shout outs?
I like to think that, so like I'm torn between thinking that, okay, he's got some malicious intent here. He's, looking to sell it for espionage or to make personal money, or to, as Lenny mentioned, like get personal information so he can do mob style beatdowns on people to get what he wants. But I kind of really just imagine as like a final death throw of his failure to secure the next presidency, he just like grabbed a shit ton of documents that he knew he could use in the future. Like maybe he got people. He's like, just give me any document you can. I'm leaving this bitch with them. And we'll see what we can do from there. Fuck this shit. I kind of imagine, just as a sore loser, he took some documents and was like, well, to my advantage, whatever. But I don't know, right? Like, of course.
Wouldn't that be like the capital T? Like, just like, he doesn't even know what he's fucking doing. Like, he doesn't even know what the ulterior motive is. He just tried to do something and it ended up being like very fucking illegal.
Well, so here's the thing is that like him and his team were told by the Department of Justice and by the National Archives that he is legally not allowed to take them before he even left office. So it's not like it's a surprise. Or at least it shouldn't have been a surprise. Like he was told directly by his attorney general he couldn't take this stuff that he took.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that he's under any illusion it wasn't illegal. I think he's just going to fight tooth and nail to say he's innocent or that what he did wasn't illegal or just try to weasel out of it. But like, as far as some of the stuff he took, like the nuclear codes, that's really fucking sketch. Maybe not codes, but any amount of nuclear information that's been alleged, or at least.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what's been alleged. I've watched so many things over the past like 3 weeks or however long it's been. It's all just melding together. At some point, someone said he had nuclear information. And like that's obviously intentional. You don't just fucking accidentally grab some nuclear codes. But as far as all the other shit, like part of me just wants to think that, I've been a sore loser before. Like, all right, how can I undermine the situation that I lost against in any way possible? Okay, grab fat stack of documents, do a little bit of obstruction here and there. But maybe he just like what information can he get on other people so that he can stoke flames with, like, from his followers? Like, okay, I have this amount of information. Grab this stack of documents. There's got to be something in there I can use to cause polarization, to stoke political flames. Something I can do to get my people to commit violence and whatnot. You know, what he's been good at doing. Other than that, I really don't know. I don't quite like, he's another person, so I'm not in his brain, but like being a sore loser in the past myself, I can kind of see his actions, like trying to win even after loss through like manipulation and whatnot. Like I can kind of suspect that everything he's doing is malicious, but like maybe not planned out. But the other part of me is like, oh, he's kind of a mastermind here. He's actively participating in espionage. He's actively trying to make money now that because he left the office basically almost bankrupt again, right? Like his assets were frozen. He was being sued by so many different people. Those documents could have been his road to maintaining relevancy, maintaining his political campaign, whatever. But then just based on how he acts, I somewhat suspect it was just, fuck it, take whatever.
Only time will tell, folks, and we will revisit the topic. Kind of like Ukraine, we will eventually revisit the topic, and as things develop, be able to continue and talk about these things some more as they develop and as we find out new things, which I'm sure will happen. So until then, it's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. Time to go to the shout outs. Lenny, what do you got for us this week, bud?
I want to shout out Attorney General Merrick Garland for calling his legal team's bluff and unsealing I lost the word. the search warrant.
Okay.
The affidavit. Thank you. That was a real G move. Shout out to Brittany. She's taking care of the kids this morning. And she's just the best. Shout out to you guys for creating the platform. And shout out to our listeners for listening. You guys can talk to me on like Twitter and like Instagram and emails and stuff. Just say what's up. Let us know how we're doing.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. Schwess, how about you, man?
Shout out to I don't know who I want to shout out this week. I guess Yui, as always, because she's currently, it's like almost midnight here, so she would be almost sleeping anyways, but she's currently sequestered away, being quiet for the podcast. So shout out to her for that. Shout out to you two. This is obviously a speculative and probably not like, in the future, if one of us are looking for a job or whatever, and like they find our podcast, they're like, oh, you were talking mad shit about, and I hope not, the current president of the United States. Like, so thanks for talking about this on the podcast today. And shout out to Eagle Legal, because I've watched his stuff. It's really good. He obviously shows his biases, but he also seems to be very fair in his assessment. Kevin?
Want to shout out my lovely fiance Ashley, as well as you two, for having another great discussion this week. And it's always fun when we can just kind of sit back and kind of speculate and talk about the goings on, and not necessarily have to deliver the facts, right? We're not the news, we're a current events podcast, and I think that's the difference here. Is it's not that we don't have to be factual, but it's like at this point, like you the listener have already digested the news. Now let's have a conversation about that digested news. And I just love that we can, come together every week and have those kinds of conversations. So shout out to you too. Also want to shout out Lenny and Wes for playing Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis with me. Appreciate not having to be a solo MMO player anymore. That's always fucking nice. And I want to shout out you, the listener. Definitely chat and hang out with Lenny socially, and reach out to him and us at the social media platforms at The Life Midwest, or email us at support@thelifemidwest.com. We really appreciate the interactions. Let us know what you want to hear, what you like, what you don't like, and the podcast will continue to evolve as it grows, hopefully. So until then, folks, call your mom. Call your goddamn mom. We will talk to you next Saturday and every Saturday here on the Life Midwest podcast. Take care. Have a good one.
Oh.